Parashat Vayetze. In the stories of Genesis, Jacob is a character with the most depth. We read much about him. He matures right before our eyes. He changes his character. He goes from being the Jacob that harms people to the one named Israel. We encounter our father Abraham at age 75. Indeed, he encountered many trials, but they all point to the depth of faith he already had. And the changing of his name from Avram to Avraham is meant to explain his purpose as a father of many nations. We do not know much about Isaac. Last week we read the portion of Toldot, the account of Isaac, the son of Abraham. This Torah portion was meant to speak on Isaac, but quickly we leave Isaac and focus on Jacob, his birth, his purchase of the birthright, his stealing of the blessing, and his escape to Haran. Of the three patriarchs, we focus mainly on Jacob. The question that many Torah commentators ask is why God specifically chose Jacob. The question arises because Jacob's name was associated with so many scandals. In fact, not Jacob or his sons, the heads of the tribe of Israel had a moment of rest or peace. Jacob's family was a type of family that no one would ever want due to its immense dysfunctionality. His family was brimming with quarrels, jealousy, hatred, the selling into slavery of Joseph by his brothers, the bitter rivalry between the wives, inequality, and even the mass murder of the inhabitants of Shechem by his very own sons. There are those who explain that the three patriarchs are the pillars on which the people of Israel are built. That Abraham is a great believer who is willing to sacrifice everything, even the son of promise, Isaac. The symbol of uncompromising faith is Abraham. Isaac symbolizes the son of promise. He was born into the promise. Isaac is passive and flows with events that he did not initiate. And so are we. We flow into the course of life. We are born, and on the 8th day, we enter the Jewish life cycle without anyone asking us. We live the promise that was given to our predecessors. What does Jacob symbolize? Jacob is a symbol for our national character, trouble. We are people who throughout history live in instability. As a nation, we are going through wars, going out and coming back from exile, running away from those who want to hurt us. No matter what we go through in life, Jacob went through worse. Have we been cheated? Our father Jacob was cheated 10 times more. Are there those that want to hurt us? Jacob's brother wanted to kill him. Do we have problems with their children? Our problems with our children cannot compare to those that Jacob had with his children. Yet, Jacob always sought peace. And I believe that this is our good quality. At the end of the day, we seek peace and quiet. Our Torah portion begins with a dream. And this is one of the notable subjects in our portion, Jacob's ladder. When God uses a dream to convey a message, there are two main ways that he communicates. Sometimes he speaks in a dream, as he did with Lavan or the king of Gerar. Other times, God shows an image in a dream, as he did with Pharaoh or Joseph. One of the most famous dreams in the New Testament is a dream vision that Peter had on the roof in Jaffa, in Acts chapter 10. Simon Peter was hungry for bread, and while food was being prepared, he fell asleep and dreamt of food. In the dream, a sheet falls from heaven with all kinds of unclean animals, and he hears from heaven, "Kill and eat." Peter's initial answer is, "No way, I've never eaten anything unkosher." And so this dream appears 3 times. Today, there are those who interpret this dream as a permission to eat anything, as if the biblical kosher laws do not apply to us today, that God made everything clean. But if we look at these verses, we can see that food is used only as a parable. In these verses, God teaches the first believers and us to receive the Gentiles into the community, to accept each person equally. Peter rises from this dream confused. trying to sort out what he saw, what God is trying to tell him. And then God sent him messengers from Cornelius and commanded Peter to accompany them to his home. Peter understood God's message, and in Acts chapter 10, verse 28, he said to them, "You are well aware that it is against our law for a Jew to associate with or visit a Gentile. But God has shown me that I should not call anyone impure or unclean." The dream about food is not an instruction for the first believers to eat all unclean things. The dream is meant to teach the first believers to receive every person, Jewish or not. God created everyone in His name, in His image. After Peter arrives in Cornelius' house, he testifies and teaches about Yeshua HaMashiach. And after he finishes, the Holy Spirit comes and fills the inhabitants of the house. And Peter baptizes them. But what happens after that? When Peter goes up to Jerusalem, the believers there complain about him, saying, "We heard that you go to the homes of Gentiles and eat bread there." Why? Peter explains. This appears in Acts chapter 11 from verse 1 onwards. "I dreamt a dream, and God commanded me not to call unclean what He made clean. Then I woke up, and God commanded me to go to Cornelius' house. There I preached the gospel, and they received the gift of the Holy Spirit, and I baptized them." I repeat this story only because the New Testament tells it twice. This is in order to emphasize the importance of accepting others. Faith is for every person in the world. God is not my God alone, and He is not only the God of the people of Israel. God created the world, created man, every man, in His image. As human, we tend to make a separation between ourselves and others. We put up walls, partitions, us and them. But as it is written in Ephesians 2, Yeshua broke down the barrier that separated between us. God is the God of us all, and Yeshua is the Messiah and King of us all, together as one. In conclusion, we spoke today about the three patriarchs as the pillar of our Jewish world. Abraham is faith. Isaac is the son of a promise and the continuation of path. And Jacob is a symbol of instability that we are sometimes met with and our yearning for peace and tranquility. We still need to eat kosher, as the dream is not about food, but rather people, accepting people. We concluded with the idea that God created us equal. God created us all from the same stuff. Shabbat Shalom.